deadly wildfires and floods, unrelenting heat waves,
massive 8.9 magnitude quake. But that was just part of what has been a historic day of devastation for Japan. It is still trying to grasp the most violent
plant and animal species are already impacted by rising temperatures, trying to find cooler ground, suffering from diseases that
cities are in shambles, neighborhoods are leveled, hospitals are going into crisis mode, and tornadoes. Their families have walked for weeks just to get here. There is no running water, no electricity. After 20 years of fighting high temperatures, of course we are on a record drought. There's a lot of dry vegetation and of course the wind.
Our environment, our world, is on the verge of drastic change. Professionals and activists have been trying to bring attention to these predictions for years, but for some reason, nothing seems to be changing. This is something that will directly affect us and our generation, but we don't know about it. So we decided to take a look and dig deeper into some of the reasons why our world is in such danger and how we can make an impact for the better. If we do nothing about these projections and they come to be, we are all going to be faced with our own vital decisions which will map out our entire future. We are already making important decisions every single day. With every hamburger we eat, with every wrapper we decide to throw on the ground instead of the trash, every can we forget to recycle, we are making a choice to sacrifice the sustainability of the planet. You're only one person, and so is everyone else. The excuse of not being able to make a difference has been overused and it's simply incorrect. There have been so many people throughout history who have changed the world in a variety of different ways, and each of us have the ability to do that as well. Let's take a look at how you're affecting the world around you in terms of the environment, and what you as one person can do about it.
One of the most effective steps that a person can take to sustain the environment is to reduce their consumption of animal products being meat, fish, poultry, dairy, and eggs. When one considers that just switching to a vegetarian diet will save over 3,000 pounds of greenhouse gases, thousands of gallons of water will be spared, not only from use, but also from pollution, and an incredible amount of soil will be saved from erosion, and a whole bunch of other factors such as reducing the loss of biodiversity because of modern farming practices. One person actually can make quite a bit of difference.
The four main resources that humans need to survive are being compromised by the effects of climate change: food, water, clean air, and land for shelter. These things may seem plentiful from your perspective, but if we take a look at the bigger picture in the world as a whole, these resources are rapidly depleting and being polluted. The only way anything is going to change is if we do something about it. Climate change gives our generation a chance to take everything we're learning about our environment and act on it in a positive way.
One of the things about environmental impacts is that if you don't see it right next to you, you don't see it and you don't take any action.
Sometimes it's overwhelming to think about all that's going on in the world, but we need to educate people on the impact that one person can have. The effect that our food has on the environment is often disregarded when it comes to talking about climate change. I've researched a lot of information about the general negative impact that animal agriculture has, but how does it affect each aspect of our environment specifically? And what do my daily choices and actions contribute to it? Let's first take a look at our water usage. One person on average uses 80 to 100 gallons of water from direct household usage per day. One full tub of bath water can be around 36 gallons, a shower uses around 5 gallons per minute, a sink faucet flows about 1 gallon per minute, washers can use up to 25 gallons per load of laundry, watering your garden can use 2 gallons per minute. The food you consume, plants or animal products, contributes greatly to all of our water footprints. But only 5% of water is consumed in the U.S. by private homes, and 55% of the water consumed in the U.S. is for animal agriculture. Animal agriculture is responsible for 20 to 33% of all fresh water consumption in the world today. Animal products use a significantly larger amount of water than vegetables, bread, or other plant-based calorie sources. All of these direct uses combined don't even come close to the water footprint of a hamburger or a gallon of milk. On average, it takes around 1,800 gallons of water for one hamburger. The huge water footprint is primarily due to the water needed to grow the grass, feed, and forage for the cattle to eat in their lifetime. Not to mention the water from drinking, cleaning, and processing. As the Earth's population continues to grow, the demand for food has skyrocketed. In an attempt to accommodate this, factory farms concentrate an unnatural number of animals in one location, which results in an unmanageable amount of waste. On the other hand, it is estimated that we have around 60 years of topsoil left. Topsoil is the layer that allows plants to grow.
Let me tell you the one that I'm most worried about, and I'm going to surprise you. It's soil erosion. Half the soil is gone. It takes 200 years to build an inch of topsoil. Think about that for a minute. We can't not eat for, let's say, to get 6 inches of good topsoil for 1,200 years. We can't do it. As bad as global warming is, as bad as water pollution is, as bad as deforestation is, I think soil erosion is not getting enough airtime, because without the soil, how will we grow any food?
Degraded soil will mean that we will produce 30% less food over the next 20 to 50 years. This contrasts with the projection that we will require 50% more food as the population grows and wealthier people in highly populated countries like China and India continue to eat more meat. We are using an enormous amount of land for agricultural purposes. Not only is a massive 40% of Earth's total land coverage used to inhabit farm animals, but 50% of all grain crops worldwide go straight to feed livestock. A single cow alone eats 24 pounds of grain each day, and these animals need to be constantly fed in order for them to be useful to the meat and dairy industries.
36% of the world's calories are being fed to animals, and this is very inefficient considering that 97 out of 100 calories fed to, say, cattle for beef is just thrown away.
The amount of food we grow puts a lot of stress on our soil, and without soil, nobody can eat. We are inefficiently feeding the calories from corn, soy, wheat, alfalfa, and more to livestock when the alternative option is to directly feed the plants to hungry people. Although a large percentage of our crops goes to feeding livestock animals, plants are not the only things showing up on their plate.
But we're feeding about a third of the 3 trillion fish that we take from the ocean. We're feeding it back to livestock animals. So we have pigs, cows, and chickens being the world's leading, oceanic predators, and taking away all the food from the dolphins, the whales, the porpoises, the seals, the sharks. All these animals are literally starving to death, as well as us taking vast amounts of quantities of these animals out of the ocean. Plus we're polluting the ocean's waters, plus it's going up in temperature. It's just crazy what we're doing to the ocean. So plot it out on a graph. We can see that by the time we reach 2048, we could see the end of all commercial fishes. It will basically, all of them will be extinct by that time.
And not only will the lack of fish in oceans have long-term effects, but it will take a toll on our daily lives too. Over half of the oxygen that we breathe is produced by the ocean plants. And almost 1/3 of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere is absorbed by the ocean. This disruption of the ocean ecosystem will have a negative effect on air quality and access to fresh water. Farm waste doesn't just stay on farms, and there's a lot of it. In fact, animal agriculture is the leading factor in the formation of ocean dead zones and water pollution. These are all human-induced issues which at one point would have been easily preventable, but with some significant effort can still be reversible. Now we realize that this is a lot of information to take in. Lots of new ideas or even just expansions on old ideas. We're showing you the world you live in a different light than you've probably seen it in your day-to-day life. And this leads us to the big question. Why is it that this is new? This information sure seems like a big deal, but we have to put in a lot of effort to find things out. We were intrigued by why this was, so we decided to dive deeper into the big industries responsible for the destruction of our resources to see what we could find.
Livestock companies really manipulate the information. Just looking at Tyson, the chicken company, in 2011 alone, they spent over $550 million on advertising, and that was dwarfed by some other livestock companies that are less well known that were over $1 billion. So these ads promoting these animal products are just plastered everywhere. The industry also distorts how we view animal agriculture and the environment. The FAO originally reported that animal agriculture was responsible for 18% of total greenhouse gas emissions, making it the single leading source. But in 2012, they partnered with the International Meat Secretariat and the International Dairy Federation, and a year later, in 2013, their figure went down about 4 points to 14.5%. All the while, independent organizations are saying it could be as high as 51%, and that is very well possible considering that we raise 73 billion land animals a year. But the Meat Institute, they believe it's only 3% of greenhouse gases.
The main thing anyone can do to combat this false advertising is to be educated about the subject. While the package may claim that the product is nutrient-dense, grass-fed, or farm-fresh, do we know what that really means? The USDA has strict regulations for the labels put on our foods. You will never see the words nutritious, healthy, or even safe on a carton of eggs funded by the USDA. Egg companies and other animal products go to great lengths to try to get around USDA regulations, using more undefined words such as fresh or satisfying.
The American Egg Board, a lobby, was found to have paid bloggers to innocently blog about the benefits of eggs. And that makes sense because they are not allowed to use their government funds to advertise eggs as safe or healthy because it is illegal due to their high cholesterol content.
There are hundreds and thousands of words and brands that we have learned to trust. Many of these companies spend billions of dollars in advertising in order to portray this manipulated image. That is what we will instinctively trust and base our realities on. If we as the generation can learn to see past the surface, we can change the entire food industry's inner workings.
They have the money, and same with oil. They have the money, and it's about that lobby. We know that they are using a lot of their influence for those laws. And so is the corn lobby. And the corn lobby, it's not about food for people corn lobby, it's the food that is used for animal production. They have the lobby too.
I was uneducated and in the same place as a lot of people about a year ago. I knew I wanted to help the world's environmental issues, but I felt so powerless. Now that I know the positive impacts one person can have, there's no question in my mind because I understand how simply it all fit together. Each of us will go on our own unique journeys to discover what we can do best to help ourselves and the world around us. Our generation has grown up in a world that always speaks about the dangers of climate change, but doesn't do much about it. It's time for each of us to make a personal decision and choice 3 times a day to help change our future and stop making excuses. Because turning the tables is possible, it just takes our individual actions. Every day you can save about 1,100 gallons of water, 40 pounds of grain, 30 square feet of forest land, and 20 pounds of CO2 from the air if you don't consume animal products. No one should have the excuse one person can't make a change.
So again, we're racing against this extinction, we're racing time here, and again, it comes down to this generation taking responsibility for our actions and actually living in a more sustainable way.
It's going to be difficult. People are. It's going to take a. It's going to take an event, or it's going to take a large number of small events that all of a sudden lead up to this very large event.
I think it is very important. I think it is vitally important to teach young people the facts about livestock and environmental pollution today. Those facts are enormous. They have to be faced. We can't hide it from our youth. We can't wish it weren't so. Those facts have to be faced. And so, considering that soon the young people will grow up, they need to have the agricultural facts of life. They need to know what it's doing to the planet. And so I consider few things more important to teach them than these facts of life. And that is what education is about. So yes, I consider it very important. I think we need to empower our youth with the facts so that they can make wise decisions for their future, for their children's future, and even for their grandchildren's future.
So really, we need to see a vegan lifestyle become the norm for environmentalists and other non-environmentalist people who just want to be healthy and to live in a more compassionate, sustainable world. It's only a matter of time before people understand this and start aligning their already set in place core values of being kind and wanting to be healthy and wanting to see sustainability, and align that with the actual daily choices of eating more sustainably and not eating those animals and being actually healthier for it.
We have the resources, the inventions, the ideas to be the generation that flips everything upside down. We just have to act on our constantly growing knowledge and make change in the way we go about our lives, and we can lessen our impact. It's possible, so let's do it.
There's definitely a shift going on in society.
This vegan lifestyle is sort of the solution to so many of the issues that are going on.
400 million less animals were raised, killed, and eaten in the U.S. in 2014 than in 2013.
You change your perception, you change the story. That's all it is. It's just the changing of the story, and we can't wait for other people to do it. We have to do it ourselves.
If everybody's thinking it doesn't make a difference, then nobody's going to change and nothing's going to happen, But if everybody takes the mentality of, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for my actions, I realize that what I'm doing is either going to be helping to solve this problem we have, or it's going to be perpetuating this problem. You always have a choice, just a choice in the moment. What are you going to do?